This is about celiac disease and its impact on the intestinal tract. First off, what is celiac disease? What is gluten and what is wheat? Celiac disease is an autoimmune disorder. It is hereditary. About 1% of the US population is diagnosed with celiac, which equates to about 2 to 3 million Americans, although it's estimated that a large percentage of people with celiac are either undiagnosed or misdiagnosed. Upon the ingestion of gluten, which is a protein found in grains such as wheat, barley, and rye, the immune system reacts by attacking the lining of the small intestine, and the damage inhibits nutrient absorption. A quick anatomy lesson. Villi are small projections, which in anatomy terms means extensions of the lining that create a larger surface area in order to aid the absorption of nutrients in the small intestine. When the immune system of a celiac or a person diagnosed with celiac disease attacks the small intestine, what they are attacking is the villi. This is a process called villus atrophy, and during this process, the villi are essentially flattened by protector proteins sent by the immune system. Okay, I just wanted to take a second and nerd out to talk about a little bit about the biology behind the immune response. So, when a person diagnosed with celiac disease eats gluten and the body begins to break it down, the gluten is broken down but not fully digested. Undigested pieces of gluten go through enterocytes, which are intestinal wall cells found on villi. The pieces get stuck and build up under the enterocytes, which triggers the enterocytes to send a signal to the immune system, communicating that there's something wrong. In response, the immune system sends immune cells to destroy and damage the enterocytes. The damage done by the immune cells actually loosens them even more to where pieces of gluten are still entering. The enterocytes then release an enzyme called TTG, which binds to the gluten and alters it in a way that initiates a primary immune system response, which is white blood cells. The white blood cells adopt the gluten and use it use the receptor to signal T cells, which are immune cells that fight disease and infection. Unfortunately, the T cells are instructed to attack the enterocytes. Overall, a lot of damage to the cells that line the intestinal wall and the villi occur during this process. Over time, the villi becomes flatter and therefore cannot absorb nutrients efficiently. While a cure to celiac disease does not currently exist, a lifelong, very strict gluten-free diet will allow for the villi in the small intestine to heal and will prevent further damage. The villi will grow back, often taking months, but sometimes can take up to 2 years to fully heal. Villi villi can heal oftentimes, in a couple of days, but constant, continuous damage to the villi due to gluten consumption can set it back further to where it will take months to heal. Nutritionists can also recommend supplements for deficiencies to improve your panel of vitamins and minerals that may be missing because of damaged villi and malabsorption. And what happens if you don't? Well, celiacs who commit to a lifestyle of ignoring their disease and consuming gluten despite their discomfort and the physical toll it's taking on their body and their organs will unfortunately be met with chronic inflammation due to severe damage to the enterocytes, as well as damage to the villi, leading to extreme malnutrition. Now, what this means is that important nutrients like iron, calcium cannot be absorbed at a rate that your body requires the nutrients, meaning further down the road, you could be met with health issues such as osteoporosis, which is the thinning of the bones, due to severe calcium deficiency and vitamin D. Sometimes for men and women, infertility due to a lack of folic acid, iron, zinc, selenium, which all contribute to reproductive health and balance. It increases your chances of becoming diagnosed with a secondary disease, such as type 1 diabetes or liver diseases, increased risk of intestinal cancers, chronic fatigue, enamel loss. All of these can be a result of persistent gluten consumption in individuals diagnosed with celiac. Now, current research in celiac disease, researchers are looking into alternative therapies for celiac, some drug therapy, and maybe alternative diets, as well as assessing the issue at the molecular level, looking at the enzymes that break down gluten, the antibodies that may stop intestinal inflammation in response to gluten, and actually micromolecules that may help condition the immune system to sense gluten and be more cooperative. There are a couple studies that I've looked at that explore therapies for celiac disease, such as this one. The idea behind this research study is exploring multiple possible therapies, including gluten processing in the diet, altering immune responses that are triggered by gluten, or immune tolerance. As said here, it is acknowledged that a lifelong gluten-free diet is the gold standard for celiac treatment, but there are also potential drug therapies being explored with the cellular processes of celiac disease. As said in this image, these pharmacological therapies will target signaling pathways and will continue to be explored. Another study I researched was similar to the last in many ways, but touched on in vitro, which is in lab, or in vivo, which is animal testing, and suggested that maybe a combination of therapies, drug therapies, dietary changes, um, could at some point outlive or outperform the gluten-free diet. But overall, for now, the number one treatment for celiac disease and treatment for healing the villi in that are damaged because of consumption and celiacs in the small intestine is a very strict, lifelong gluten-free diet.